The No Fate channel, checking in. On this inaugural episode of Travels with No Fate, we are going into the Museum of Science in Boston, finally, after over a year and a half, and we are going to explore their Arctic Adventure exhibit and their Science Behind Pixar exhibit. Now listen, if this is your first time to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. On this new Travels with No Fate series, listen, I'm finally leaving this fortress of solitude. For so long, especially in 2020 and even in 2021, we were locked down, locked in. What started with 2 weeks expanded to much longer than any of us had imagined. And I am happy to say that the light at the end of the tunnel is finally visible. Things are starting to open, and it is becoming safer now more than ever to kind of go out into the world and kind of just get back to living our lives. And that's what this series is all about, just exploring as stuff opens up and as I head out on great, fun, new adventures. My longtime subscribers know that I am a massive fan of the Museum of Science in Boston. I have been a member since well before having children, and I used to go every month. And then once we had kids, we used to go every 3 weeks, but just because it's such a great place to visit and entertain your kids, learn, educate yourself. And unfortunately, in 2020, right when the year started, V was making headlines and we just stopped going. And then eventually stuff just got flat out shut down. Everyone was locked in. And only recently has the Museum of Science been able to open up. And based on the numbers and based on the vaccine and all that good stuff that's going out, the light at the end of the tunnel is coming a little bit closer. We can see that things are getting safer to kind of explore the world as we used to know it. Circa 2019, I am finally going back. Keep right. It's two-way traffic. Keep right.
We're going out traveling.
For those of you like me that have children and take care of elderly parents and want to just make sure that you're not, kind of adding yourself to a high level of risk with respect to exposure, the Museum of Science is doing it right. First and foremost, you can't just show up like you could in the past. You do need to have a timed entry ticket. So you do need to schedule in advance when you're going to show up. Also, they have limited space in the Omni Theater and the Planetarium. They space people out exceptionally well. And on some of their higher attractions like this Arctic Adventures exhibit, you do have to have a time ticket into that exhibit as well. So they really do a good job of spreading out the daily crowd throughout the day, so it's not everyone's just kind of showing up around noontime. Also, with respect to making sure that everyone is masked up, it is mandatory here in Massachusetts and in the museum that you have to wear a mask, no exceptions. And they removed all of the eatery that was there. They just basically closed it down for now, making sure that, there's no instance where people might have food walking around and have their mask off. I felt that they did a fantastic job keeping the area safe, clean, and the number of hand sanitizers is like, you throw a stone, you're going to hit two. Tons of places to make sure that your hands are fully sanitized, and of course their bathrooms, as usual, completely spotless. One of the things that I love about the Museum of Science in Boston, and one of the things I think they do better than any of the other museums here in the New England area, is simply updating their exhibits, both permanent exhibits and their rotating exhibits, keeping the museum itself fresh. Even if you're a longtime museum goer and museum member like I am, it's nice to see that they bring in new stuff all the time. The Arctic Adventure takes about 15 minutes to work through, and I will tell you it's a new exhibit, and you know it's a new exhibit as soon as you kind of walk in, because they really immerse you into what I perceived to feel like the Arctic, from the sounds to the high ice walls to the lighting, the whole 9 yards. A really good, well thought out exhibit. It's a single travel exhibit, so you really kind of flow in one direction, one entry, one exit, and they incorporate a lot of fun information and research to kind of give you the idea of how they're utilizing research to benefit them for global warming, for climate control, climate change, as well as the search for bones and stuff like that.
Ready for your assignment? The team needs your help analyzing some underwater Arctic sounds that we recorded using a hydrophone. Your task is to find out if there's a beluga whale in our water.
Yeah, you get core samples of the ice, and it helps you figure out what happened during that ice. See how you can tell?
Hey, hi! Your mission. Work with a partner to navigate the glacier and gather our lost supplies before a blizzard strikes. Our team lost some equipment during the last blizzard. So, one of you, the navigator, will stay here at base camp and use the satellite image to locate the supplies and any visible crevasses.
See him doing it? They've got a few fun interactive games. One of the ones that I actually thought was a real standout was one that involved drones, which of course is something that I was interested in. I'm a little kid at heart. I will say my son, who is 6.5, some of the information that they were trying to provide went a little over his head. But I think the proper age range is probably between like 8 and 14. That's probably the ideal age range for kids. But if you're a kid like I am, you're going to love this exhibit. The science behind Pixar is not a new exhibit in terms of its existence. I remember seeing this exhibit somewhere else about 5 years ago, but I will say it's a temporary exhibit at the Museum of Science, and it's free with entry. So hey, listen, if it's free, it's for me. But even though it's not new, it's still a wonderful exhibit, and my son, who'd never experienced it before, thought it was the best thing ever. We easily spent 45 minutes in the exhibit, and we probably could have spent another 30 minutes if he wasn't 6.5 years old. It's all about incorporating the story and the art and the science and all of the stuff that goes into taking a basic story and bringing it to fruition on screen. And there's so much math and computer and fun informational stuff that it is really a must-see if you've never seen the science behind Pixar. They do a very good job of, as soon as you walk in, they set up what your expectations should be for the experience, and then you kind of immersed in the whole Pixar library of all of the videos and movies that they've made up to, I believe, like Coco was probably the newest video that they had in terms of the stuff that they had there. Tons, and I do mean tons, of interactive exhibits with regards to math, with regards to designing characters, with regards to lighting, the whole 9 yards. I'm honestly not doing this one justice. My son had a ball going through and playing with each one separately, and they were so much fun, and it's really spaced out well to not feel closed and claustrophobic. You really can kind of spread out and kind of decide which route you want to take. They've got so many fun things there. It's now time for Fate of the Union, where I just kind of give you my final wrap up and final thoughts on this experience. First and foremost, Arctic Adventure, a great permanent exhibit, and it shows that they're really putting in the effort to bring up the museum to keep things fresh. I saw a few other spaces where they actually had walls up because they're putting in more new permanent exhibits, and I can't wait for those to open as well. The science behind Pixar, really a top-notch, hands-on, temporary exhibit. The fact that it's free is perfect because, hey, it doesn't cost you anything else. And even if you've seen it, if your kids or someone that you're with hasn't experienced it, it's really worth the trip in, just because they've really do a good job kind of showing you all of the soup to nuts behind actually taking a video from storyboard to movie screen. Overall, I was super happy with all of the safety features that they did at the Museum of Science. I only went this time with my son because it was more of like a canary in a coal mine type of experience. I wanted to make sure that they had enough safety features where I felt it was comfortable to kind of come again with my wife and my daughter, who likes to put her hands in her mouth and put her hands on everything else for that matter. And I definitely think the next time I go back, I will bring the entire family because I certainly think the safety measures and protocols that they've put in place are above and beyond what I actually expected, or honestly, to be honest with you. I am overjoyed to finally be able to crack the doors to the Fallout shelter, to leave the Batcave, to say goodbye to my Fortress of Solitude and expand out into the world. Where do you want to see me go next? What do you want to see me review in the next Travels with No Fate? If you've come this far in the video, please do me a huge favor. Give this video a like, hit that subscribe button. As usual, thank you for watching, and don't save anything for the trip back. This channel is dedicated to my life as a father of 2 wonderful children, and it centers around health, fitness, and all of the tricks and tribulations that I go through to try to be a great parent to my children and still accomplish my own personal goals.